You want to introduce me, Dave?
Hey, everybody. Good morning. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Al, the tennis pro.
Okay, thank you, Dave. This is Tennis Made Simple. This is actually number 9 in a series, and this one's called By Global Demand. What's happened since the last video we did, we've had a lot of requests to do one more, and really a lot of requests from around the world, not just nationally. For instance, I feel like I just need to respond to the pressure, so that's why we're doing another video. In Switzerland, I've heard from several Swiss officials, Dave, that if we don't do another video today, they're going to threaten to start making their cheese without holes. So, and in France, now this is not universal. You've been to France, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, and several of the French women who have responded, I've heard not from all French women, of course, but several French women are threatening that if I do not do another video, they are going to shave their armpits.
Oh.
Yeah, so you've been there, you know how bad this would be.
Oui.
Yeah, oui.
Je parle français, Al.
Oui.
Oui.
And in several Scandinavian countries, they're demanding that if I don't do another video, they're going to make illegal the position of sweeper in curling. And that would destroy the sport. And even in the US, Dave, do you know this? There's a lot of demand for another video. People are threatening, if I don't do one, they're threatening to not get vaccinated.
Ooh, that's pretty serious.
So now some of you might be wondering, why me? Why am I being asked to do another video? Well, this is where it feels awkward, but I guess, it's kind of like I'm tooting my own horn, and that makes me feel a little uncomfortable. But I guess I'm kind of a tennis expert. I know a lot about tennis. I can't tell you how many times people over the years have called me a big know-it-all. And, it's always been hard for me, Dave. I don't know if you have this problem. It's always been hard to balance natural greatness with a sense of fake humility,
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah. And I guess, to be honest, I have, I've gotten tons of tennis trophies over the years, or as many as I can afford to buy.
Yeah.
Within the last 3 years, Dave, you might not know it. I did the tabulating last night rather. My match record for the last 3 years, 142 wins and 0 losses.
That's amazing.
Yeah, when there's no opponent on the other side of the net. Okay. But anyway, that's why I felt like I needed, and people want to hear what I have to say.
Sure.
Now, the highlight of today's video, we have Paul Valina standing by. There's a glimpse of Paul, yeah. And some of you may remember Paul. He demonstrated the double Valina for the extremely angry racket thrower. And he's come up with something brand new that he's going to share with us today. And it's going to be pretty exciting. So we'll get to that in just a minute or two. A few odds and ends first, though. I did get an email from, and I thought it would be a good one to answer this question. How do you know when you've stretched enough before a tennis match? This is an email from a tennis player in Djibouti. I think that's in Africa somewhere, isn't it, Dave? Do you know? No. I mean, it is proof that this has gone global. Here's an email from Djibouti. Okay.
Djibouti.
But anyway, the question is, how do you know? Well, that's a pretty easy one, I think, for me to answer. If you've started the match and you finished the match and you haven't injured yourself, you have probably stretched enough. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how you know. Now,
sense.
an observation that since before the last video that has occurred to me, that I think tennis players around the world probably can relate to. No matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, even though a can of tennis balls only costs $2 or so, if you have just opened a new can of tennis balls and you lose one of them on that day, even though it only costs $2, you will spend hours searching for that lost ball. You will not leave until you find your lost ball if you've just opened a new can of balls.
Yeah.
Is that true or not? Dan?
No, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Have you experienced that?
Yes,
Where
absolutely.
You just open a can.
Absolutely.
And you just say, "Oh, I've lost a ball. I can't leave.
No.
I've got to find that third ball."
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we get to the big highlight of today, a couple of more new things that I've added to the sport of tennis. And that's what I feel like partially my role is, to add to the sport. You know, you might people who are fans of these videos might remember we've already done the Al breaker, which is a very short tiebreaker when you only have a minute or two, and it's first to 1 point by 2. So that's something new that I've added. I've also added the Friedman set. When you lose a lot of tennis and you feel like you want to win a set, and you need to have 6 games to win a set, if you've been beaten in 3 straight sets, all you've got to do is add the total number of games from those 3 sets. And like if you've lost 6-3, 6-1, 6-2, you've won 6 games. So even though you lost all 3 real sets, you have won an imaginary Friedman set.
I see.
So, so now here's the new stuff. Sometimes you feel uncomfortable, Dave. I don't know if you've ever done this. You feel like you're playing against an opponent who's taking forever to serve. They're like keep tossing the ball. They keep bouncing the ball like Djokovic. Well, something new that I've invented. This is called the Racket Rest. Let me show you how this works. You put the head of the racket under your arm. You support the racket with this arm, and then you let your other arm rest while you're waiting for your opponent to serve.
Ah.
Now, this can also be done the other way. You know, if you're that was for the left-hander. This is for the right-hander. You can just do this and let the right hand rest. Now, this is something that I really recommend in case you want to show how impatient you are to your opponent. Watch this. While you've got the racket in the rest position. This is saying, you see this hand bouncing over here, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's saying, are you going to serve today or what? You see, that's what the message of that is. Okay. The Racket Rest. You will find it nowhere except on Tennis Made Simple videos.
Okay.
Okay. And the last one is sometimes people double fault and they just wish they had an extra serve. You know, you've done this, right, Dave? You double fault and you go, if I only had a third serve.
Right.
You know, so here's something to keep in mind. This is called the double let. When you serve the ball, Dave, and it clips the net and goes over, what is that? That's a let, right? You get another serve.
Yeah.
But what if at the very same time a tennis ball comes over onto your court? That's a let. So that's called a double let. You get 2 serves, 2 first serves, one for the ball clipping the net and staying in, and one for the ball coming over on your court. So this is a way to get 2 first serves and 1 second serve, the double let. I'm hoping this of course doesn't exist, but whoever you're playing against might not know that it doesn't exist, and you say, oh, I get 2 first serves, one for the ball, one for the clip. Okay?
Yeah.
So, okay, now we're at the highlight of the event here today. Let me introduce to you our guest star today, Paul Valina. Why don't you come over and we'll talk a minute or two?
Sure.
Come on. Yeah, we'll do this. Now, this is called the quadruple Valina, right? Now, I think you demonstrated the double on, I think it was video 4.
Yes.
How did you develop the quadruple Valina? How did you come up with this?
Years and years of uncontrollable rage.
Whoa,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I can see how that would produce something really good.
Absolutely.
Now, I have seen you do the double Valina, but I've never, ever seen the quadruple Valina. Is this something you've actually done in match play, or something you just invented?
No, I've done it now.
Have you done it?
Yeah.
Well, I think we can't wait. I think we're all anxious to see it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Ready.
Paul, why don't you go to your position?
Okay.
And I'll kind of narrate it as we go along here. Okay? Now, you've just lost maybe 7-5 here. You've lost the match. And immediate, this doesn't take a build-up. This is immediate. You're really upset. You lost the match. You can't believe it. And the racket is thrown. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Now let's follow Paul over here. That is phase one of the quadruple Volina. Now, you think maybe he's done. Maybe oh no, he's still irritated. How could I lose to those players? They're not as good as me. No. And the second phase, he builds and the racket goes into the tarp. Okay, now, so far you've seen this before. This is the double Volina. Now we are entering unexplored territory. He looks calm. He looks like he's done. Wait a minute. No. He's still a little irritated. You just can't get this out of your head, can you? What happened? Okay, and he thinks he can't calm down. He's got one more racket throw, and there it goes. The third leg of the quadruple Volina. Oh man, now he's got to have it out of his system now, don't you think? Dave, don't you think he's done?
Oh, I would think so.
Oh man, he's done. Ooh,
but look at that.
Oh wait, what? Dave, do you see what I see?
I do.
Oh man, he can't get over it. He can't get it out of his head, and the quadruple Volina is accomplished. Oh man, that was something, Paul. Okay. Do you need a little recovery time? I would think you need a little recovery time from that. What an act of physical dexterity that was. Now, Paul, I don't know if you feel this way, but I think now let me say this. We're not advocating racket throwing. Not good to throw your racket. But if you're going to do it with style. Do it with some panache. There's a French word I learned in France, Dave. Okay. If more people did the quadruple Volina, fewer people would have to go home and kick their dog. So thanks again for being part of this.
Sorry about that. Again, I'm sorry.
Oh man, I know you've lost the match. We were counting on you.
I know.
But at least you got it out of your system. Thank you, Paul. Well, hopefully this will be the last in our series. Again, I had to respond to global demand to do another video. This should be our last, but I've got to be honest. We're currently in negotiations. This might happen. I don't know whether it will or not. But we're currently in negotiations to do a crossover episode of Tennis Made Simple with Law and Order Special Victims Unit. So if that happens, we'll be doing another video. If not, so long for now.